All right.
Here we go.
They win.
Hit it.
Don't forget to give me a host after.
Yeah.
Worst Rush song ever. And welcome to Tuck with 25% more Canadian. Thanks, Donald. And I even pulled out my passport just in case. And Donald, I'm willing to trade this to you. This will get you into most countries that you currently can't get into. You can get into a lot more countries with the Canada passport, and you can do things. Welcome to TAC. Today is the February 7th, and it's 2 weeks into Trump's thing there, and it's just going swimmingly, according to people in the know. This is what I want. 2 seconds. Okay, so. Oh, that's backwards, right?
Luigi.
It's Luigi, though. Has anybody heard what's happening with Luigi at all? It's just like he's gone. Whoops. There we go.
Still in Brooklyn.
He's in Rikers. That's
I
pretty
think
much all I know.
he's in Brooklyn.
I'm sure they caught him.
Yeah.
There are people outside of the jail right now in Brooklyn demanding his release.
Yes.
Well, the prisoners around him are demanding his release because he's a good guy, they're saying.
Yeah.
Right. It's also Ukrainian Invasion Day, the illegal Russian invasion, 1081, and welcome, and make sure you read Daily Costs and Ann Lee's column. I read it every day, every night. Posts about 10 p.m. my time, so that's what, 12 midnight East Coast.
Midnight.
All right.
Yep. On the next day. Yep.
Okay. Of course, we've had a little incident between Canada and the United States, as well as Mexico, China, and there's more on the horizon. So don't you worry about it. This is Canada's response to Donald.
Yeah.
I really love doing that. Joe was out looking for some Gaza real estate out in Arabia right now, getting the financing together. So he won't be cooking to us. So Cilantro Joe, a lot of us say yay, but a lot of us say no. We want Joe to cook with cilantro. Only some, right? And then Ann Lee's going to be by in a little bit with news. Because she's really good at that. And I'm going to share something with you guys. Let me get that set up. Whoops. These Republicans, they're hard to control on my thing here. Let me go here. Wait. 2 seconds. Smooth as silk, right? Right, Ann?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Wow. Optimized. Okay, here we go. This is F around and find out.
2016, 2020, and 2024. We live in the Florida Panhandle, and we thought that this would be good for our business, but we're finding out now that we were wrong, and I want to publicly say that we are regretting our votes at this point. My husband and me own a construction company, and we literally do not have workers anymore. Most of our workers are from Mexico, and they're good, hard workers. I talked to a few of them, and they said they were just too scared to come back to work because of all the raids. Our construction company is likely to go out of business now, and we don't know what we're going to do, but we're never voting for a Republican again. Ron DeSantis and Trump have been passing laws that negatively affect our business, and I just want to say that I'm sorry for voting for him. I grew up Republican, and it's all I've ever known, but now I can see that me and my whole family have been very wrong about this. So we hope that 2026 comes and we can take back the House and the Senate and stop him from what he's doing. There's a special election coming up in Matt Gaetz's district, and we're going to.
Well, yeah. Florida.
Matt Gaetz's little thing there. Can you hear me? My microphone changed.
You're fine.
Oh, okay. Well, hey.
Everything's
So are
fine
you.
on this end. Yeah. But
Yeah.
the latest news is that Ron DeSantis will still be alive, and yet the next governor could be of Florida could be his wife.
Yes, isn't that something? Hey,
That's her name, Gwen or something, whatever the hell her name is. She's really a careerist of some kind. Lady
Right.
Macbeth. She's real Lady Macbeth-like. And yeah, DeSantis is such a little tool that, anyway, yes, that's the plan.
would Melania Trump, maybe she can run in 2028.
No, I think it's really more like, Lurleen Wallace or something, he's,
I hear you.
Florida
Well,
is so weird.
I have another one. This is the Teachers Association.
As incoming President Donald Trump pledges this.
One other thing I'll be doing very early in the administration is closing up the Department of Education in Washington, D.C., and sending all education and education work and needs back to the states.
Trump won this state. In Bell County, 84% voted for Trump, yet it deeply relies on federal funding. A CNN analysis found the 15 states that most rely on federal funding for its public schools in 2022 all voted for Trump.
And I voted for President Trump.
I mean, you're an educator. You
Yes.
didn't vote for Trump eliminating federal funds
No,
here.
I did not vote for that. I voted for President Trump to make America first again and to improve our lives.
Do you believe that he would cut funding?
I do not think that's what the voters want. If we have federal cuts, then that's going to mean bigger classroom sizes. I would lose teachers, first and foremost. It's devastating.
I don't think that anyone in our county wants to cut our school funding. I don't think that anyone voted for that.
Do you mind if I ask who you voted for in the election?
I voted for Donald Trump.
Of course he did. Of course he did.
Indeed, false consciousness. That's what false consciousness is. You
False
vote
consciousness.
against your own interest.
Yes, this seems to be a thing down in America and also up in Canada. I skipped one when we were talking about Canada that I have to play. So if you will entertain me, and then we'll talk a little bit about what we've seen. Simon Liu.
I know what it means to hurry hard. And the only fight I ever lost was against a Canada Goose. I went to Montreal for my 18th birthday for the wink wink culture. And my favorite thing about Toronto, the CN Tower and Drake, #views, #best I ever had. I proudly fill my days with Canadian inventions like basketball, Timbeads, or insulin. And hey, not a lot of people know this, but Canada also invented the pacemaker, which we all desperately need because the Leafs keep giving us heart attacks. Better luck next year, boys. In Canada, you can truly have anything except for affordable housing. That one's a tough one. And whether you call it a cabin, a camp, or a cottage, we spell weekend without the third E. I speak English and Mandarin. Et un petit peu française. I grew up on ketchup chips, roti, and Jamaican beef patties. And by the way, it is pronounced bubble tea, okay? Not boba, bubble tea, god damn it! So whatever your background or gender, even if it's Toronto man's, everyone is fam. Because Canada is a place where the government is also our drug dealer. And we're into snowboarding, not waterboarding. And where a woman always has the right to choose. My name is Simu Liu, and I am Canadian. Yes. Thank you.
I don't know if you guys know what you did up here now. You've really ignited a firestorm. So we have oil transports. They're working out a deal with China and Japan. British Columbia has now, they've had 5 big mega billion-dollar projects have gotten the go. And they're looking at putting the line through Quebec, and the Quebec provincial government is the one who suggested it, who was against it. And that's that line 5 in Michigan would be disconnected. And that's the one the Michigan governor wanted disconnected too at the same time. So you've really lighted up a firestorm, which is good, We needed to do some of this stuff. So, you know.
Oh, man.
Right. You guys have any comments on what we've seen so far?
Canadians just have to give up, right? You know.
Yeah.
Just give up. And besides, we could use the extra senators, right?
Right. Well, I wanna drift over to Gaza if you don't mind.
Oh, no problem.
Okay. Now this you can see this, right? Yes.
Yeah.
So this is something that Donald did. It's kind of neat.
What a beta. God. He really does want to keep Bibi in power, you know?
They're kind of like besties, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, they're both criminals. God, felons. I mean,
Right.
I'm surprised he's back in, you know, that Bibi got back into government after, you know, he was under indictment before, when he was slightly out of government. It was just, I'm surprised they didn't nail him then.
Well, how long? Well, yeah. I mean, he should never have been in government, right? He's supposed to be
that's the first
under
thing.
charges.
Yeah, but I mean, even his first, you know, go at being president was, you know, stuck with that.
It was not without controversy. We'll put it that way.
You know, lots of bribes. That's all.
Right.
You know, it's bribery. It's all bribery.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, the weirder thing is that, you know, the U.S. is going to be given Gaza the land. I mean, Trump tries to ignore the fact that there are people on top of that land, right? You just bring the bulldozers in, and he thinks that because he's American, it's very typically American, that, well, people don't count. It's just about the land.
Well, part of it I heard is coming from his son-in-law, right? Who's
oh yeah,
got Arabian interests, and this is part of his plan.
This is, you know, Abrahamic Accords were essentially a real estate deal relative to the West Bank, et cetera. It's just all insane.
Right. So this guy here is an architect in Israel, apparently, and this is an idea that could change history, and this is their thoughts for it. And I mean, that looks really nice. I don't know why the Palestinians can't have that.
Yeah.
You know. So sorry, he wasn't from Israel. This is from Professor Joseph Pelsman, an expert in economics and international relations and head of the Center of Excellence for the Economic Study of the Middle East and North Africa. He's authored a plan and submitted it to Trump's team as early as July 2024. Obviously, Biden didn't want anything to do with it, but yeah, on the Riviera, eh?
Yeah, Freedom City, bullet trains, everything.
Man, I wish we could have that, to be honest.
Bullet trains in the United States. Don't hold your fucking breath. Excuse me.
Wasn't Musk part of the bullet train initiative at one time?
Well, there's going to be one eventually, Trump or not. I think there's going to be a bullet train from LA to Las Vegas. I mean, where else would you want to go?
Yeah, well, LA to New York.
Oh, good luck with that.
Right. Well, this mad evil genius here, Elon, we'll talk a little bit about him, just a little bit.
He just needs to be deported. Deport that sucker. Anyway,
right.
Yes, carry on.
So this is apparently a picture of him and his brothers. He's the one with the fish in his mouth. And the thing is, Elon, and I just want to get personal a little bit, is he's got a South African passport, an American passport, and a Canadian passport. And his first wife, I don't have a picture of. She was she knew better than get her picture out there. But he's fathered 12 children, right? One of them is deceased.
Oh, yeah.
But Canadian author Justine Wilson, they married in 2000. And they divorced in 2008. This is his second wife. English actress Tallulah Riley in 2008. They married 2 years later in Scotland. And, well, they filed for divorce in 2014 and finalized it in 2016. Then he dated Amber Heard. Now, judging from the looks of him, this has got to be about money, isn't it? I'm just, well, I don't know. You never know how people fall in love, right? And now, Alison Grimes, the great Canadian singer, is dating him. And I think this comes into effect of Musk trying to get Donald to take over Canada as the 51st state. I think this has a lot to do with it.
Indeed.
Wants to impress his girlfriend.
Elon does have a type. He does definitely have a type.
He's got a type. But,
well,
go ahead.
But no, the story is he's got minions to go out and ask women whether they want to date him or not. There was a story about that. I can't remember which, he just sort of, he's got people to do pretty much everything.
Well, and do you have any information onto his minions and them running into were you going to talk about that, running in and
Blood Boys? His Blood Boys? Yeah,
his adolescent high school to college kids running into the security apparatus of the United States and putting their own servers in and maybe deleting information or at least acquiring
stealing files. I mean, It's just looting. It's just looting. I mean, they just came in. They had some credentials. They brought in, they downloaded stuff. They took stuff,
right?
Whatever, or copied stuff. Let's put it that way. It's just about data theft, ultimately.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It's. And without accountability, I mean, nobody's paying attention. They just come in there. Oh, we're just sitting around here and doing this crap. And there's, I guess, Gen Z likes sort of not having formal living facilities. You just roll in sofa beds. The sofa bed is going to be the new, whatever cachet. Yeah. Because you're there 24/7 and maybe you sleep occasionally and you just fold out the couch in your office.
Elon's like a little kid, right? Or a young adult where you could do these all-nighters and everything.
Inner child, a bunch of, energy drinks and, disrupt your sleep patterns, whatever.
That's right. Was did Joe have an item today, or was he going to do it later? I just double checking. Okay. Well, Anne, can I give you the floor if you don't mind?
Oh, sure. We started, as I said, the week with Trump claiming that he was going to save California. And I'm sure that a certain part of the red states of the United States believe that he turned the spigots on to stop the fires in Southern California, when in fact the weather changed and the fires were contained anyway. And it with all due respect, these fires are dangerous, terrible, but they've been happening at a fairly regular pace. In this particular instance, they happened to attack where rich people lived, and that made it seem more, important. I think they've discovered recently that the cause was a spark from a power tower of some kind, and that started the whole damn thing. But
I thought it was the homeless.
The unhoused are everywhere, and now they just have a larger population. And then Trump's whole attitude is, well, they're just going to have to build bigger, next time or whatever. I think Trump has a belief that if you build them bigger, they're less likely to catch on fire. But, whatever. But that whole PR thing about, I turned on the spigot, so water has to come from Northern California to Southern California. And, what he's done is confabulate an entire set of other kinds of relations, the California Water Project, the question of water rights up to Canada, speaking of Canada, all of those things are all mushed together in his brain. And he released water from places that didn't need to release water. And in fact, he might have shorted them on water that comes up that was necessary for the growing season. So he sort of screwed the people who really control water in Central California, and that is, for agriculture. On the other hand, I think America has to sort of rethink some priorities. I mean, how we use our water, for example. I think we either overwater or there's
Canada has lots of water. Don't worry about it.
Oh yeah, we'll just buy it from you, right? Or we'll steal it from you if nothing else.
Steal it from you, yeah.
That's kind of the deal. So we began the week with gaslight or liquid gaslight, and proceeded. I urged at the beginning of the week to sort of think about tariff strategies, but it's all terrible. Just the whole tariff thing has started, and we're in very terrible shape on this. All he does is he makes these threats, and it showed how stupid he is when he's threatened, Canada, if you don't do this, and then Trudeau goes, well, screw you, and we're gonna put in tariffs that are really going to screw you, because the United States does, offshore so much of its production, particularly for the particular sectors, from Canada. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff. I mean, this is trading partner stuff, and to pick a fight with your trading partner is stupid.
You know what he's done? Because Trudeau came out, and I don't have the video on it, but his speech to the American and Canadian people, it was quite well received. And he showed he was the adult in the room, and his party's numbers have went up as a result.
Oh, that's good.
And Pierre Poilievre, the right-wing guy who's been endorsed by Musk, his numbers have went down. And now we have guys who are, and Pierre, the right-wing guy, he took forever to come out and say, USA, stay away from Canada, right? Forever. But everybody else along the political line said, oh, what's going on here? And so in that way, he's boosted the Liberals up in Canada, and we have a federal election coming up this year.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know. How is the NDP done in this, Probably not.
They've pretty well run their course. They need a leadership change, in my opinion. And
I agree, actually.
they've actually missed a good opportunity right now between these two parties to gain traction in Canada. So the provincial NDP guys are actually they're doing quite well, like in BC. Alberta's got a strong NDP as well. And I think Manitoba, don't quote me though, they're quite well thought of. So maybe one of those people will go federally as well. I mean, Singh's done what he could, and it's just time. Like Trudeau,
Yes.
he should go take a walk in the snow.
Indeed, I agree. No disagreement there.
Okay.
It's been a tough week, though. I mean, essentially, we're getting, the hints of apartheid, and then there's the sort of side discourse on, well, we're going to whatever sanction South Africa, and then Marco Rubio says, well, I'm not going to the G20 because of South Africa, blah blah blah. It's just little sops to Elon. Elon kind of, out over his skis again for the entire week. That's just the whole deal. But of course, chaos has reigned in the United States. These attempts to dislocate pretty much every administrative agency under the executive branch, education, treasury, labor, everything is being sort of screwed with in various and similar ways. That is, sort of controlling everything by the HR departments of the federal government and sort of messing with them, and of course stealing data, which it's sort of the ultimate in privatization, is just go in and steal it rather than declare it to be private or offshore it or something. They simply just go in and steal it. And fortunately, the courts in the United States have sort of sprung back, and we have a bunch of attempts to stop this, although in certain instances that may just be a 30-day thing, and other things will sort of weigh in. Executive power can be easily taken if one decides to do it, and that's what Trump has done.
Can I interject here? I have a question. I think it's genius. They got rid of the FBI bosses, or the ones that were, and the IG. They got rid of those guys.
Yep.
They made sure their generals were in charge, and now Elon's running amok, and he's going to ask for forgiveness after, right? But like your branches of power, they were supposed to stop one another. And so my question to you as an American is, I don't hear the Democrats doing much, or can they do much? Maybe they're just holding their powder. A couple of them have said stuff, Ocasio-Cortez and Bernie, and Andrew Schiff had a good speech. So,
well, some things are, I think they're waiting for some things to clear. The fact is, they know that there was this master list, the Project 2025 kind of master list, where certain things, I mean, these were in the craw of the right wing for decades. Ending foreign aid, that is USAID, was, the big target. Why are we doing this and that to, helping out other types of folks, brown and black folks in the rest of the world. And they thought, well, it's just giving money away. Well, it isn't giving just money away. It actually subsidizes, like the military, you're subsidizing certain American products. So essentially he screwed the American farmers out of $2 billion worth of stuff that's supported or contracted to USAID. So he's already creating a huge disruption in a whole bunch of other sectors just by messing with USAID.
Yeah.
And he thinks, well, you just have to fire all these people. That's all, and because that's his thing, right? The apprentice TV.
That's how he did Twitter, though.
That's true.
He fired everybody and then brought back the people who, that he needed after, right? And
that's true.
So my question is,
divisions, quality control divisions, or
couldn't the Democrats
moderators? Yes.
Couldn't the Democrats, led by Nancy Pelosi, put some scarves on and go kneel in the rotunda? Wouldn't that fix it?
Oh man, it's the Democrats are shooting themselves in the foot. I mean, they still have bad feelings because of essentially Nancy Pelosi sort of pulling Biden out of the running. That is still being discussed, which is even scarier that people even bother discussing what is fairly obvious. And so that's still going to be in people's minds until 2026. It's very clear that the Democrats are not in disarray so much as they, there's just stuff that's continuing to happen. We knew it was going to happen. The whole point is to marshal enough legal resources to sort of stop this stupidity, and hope, of course, that Americans are suddenly going to realize that eggs are even more expensive now. All those stupid things that people voted for haven't happened. The gas prices aren't going to change. I mean, it's just, in fact, gas prices will probably be the same as they've always been, with all due respect. It's just, and what kind of con job, or how deluded can we be? I think as a people, but whatever. He's picked his targets carefully, though. We're not. They've held up or suspended federal support for electric vehicle charging stations and stuff. We're lots of troubles ahead, I think, for all kinds of really stupid things, stupid reasons. Right. But on the other hand, there's going to be a Riviera of the Middle East, right? There's going to be
electric vehicles there. I see
time
Warren
shares on the Mediterranean. Oh, Warren, please.
Warren has a question for you.
So my question is, the courts don't have control of the army. So what mechanism will the courts use to stop him? What army do they have? They don't. So therefore, they're screwed. So that's my comment.
Well, yeah, I think that there are rule changes that can be made, that could be made. I think the issue is what they were studying while they were out of power was the GOP figured out in concert with, I think there is a core of a slightly right-wing people in the military who just don't like all that diversity stuff, even though you actually are going to need to get people to get into the military. On the other hand, if we don't have very many wars, we don't have to have such a large number of personnel. And so it's this weird game that they're trying to play. They assume that Gen Z folks are going to join up in the army to fly drones. I don't think that that's really going to happen. That they think that all of their video game skills will transfer into the military. They're still actually going to have to go through obstacle courses and carry guns and stuff.
We've had a lot of people sign up for the Canadian drone school. So, just so you know.
There we go. There we go. Well, as we've seen in Ukraine, it is, it's all about drones. Although yesterday, and I think there was reports of it earlier, Ukrainians actually have a fairly powerful laser beam weapon that can actually protect Kyiv, and I thought that's a good thing that they've actually been using it. Because there was a lot of talk about it, and certainly it's probably been supported probably some cross-fertilization with the Brits, because the Brits now have a fairly powerful field-capable laser. So stuff's changing.
Oh, it is. What about the plan that was leaked, the American plan for Ukraine today? I don't know if you had a chance
to hear it. This is the...
they give away the Donbass, they're gonna... a whole bunch of territories, give back the Kursk, and agree not to join NATO, but they get fast-tracked into the European Union, and Russia does a pinky swear that they won't invade again.
Yeah, that's kind of the basis of it. But I don't mean to trash Zelensky, but he's, I think, between a rock and a hard place on some of the things. I think that is the reason why there's been this offensive in Kursk, and also some reorganization of the army itself that more along a Western model, whatever that might be, Army Corps as opposed to more battle group or brigade oriented organization. I don't know. It's still pretty chaotic as far as I can tell, but and they pulled all those North Koreans out of there, or at least moved them farther off the battle line because they kept on getting slaughtered. It's just it's still amazing. Every day is crazy town. And you wonder why they're doing certain things. There's certain things that are just move along in interesting sort of ways. You send a drone all the way up past Kazan or whatever, 1,200 kilometers into the interior and blow stuff up. And they haven't. I don't know if they're at a third yet. I think they've taken out a quarter of the oil refining capability of Russia. So that's interesting and a thing that could get better or worse, whatever. A lot of things are happening. It actually amazes me how many different sort of things are happening. And I'd like to think that in the spring, there will be a serious offensive. That is all those airplanes that have been transferred, all of that new hardware that is sitting around. The French will be there. Stuff is going to happen. I think there'll be a big offensive somewhere in the spring.
Yeah, I think they just got some more F-22s delivered too as well. The one thing I've noticed is Zelensky isn't being shy about criticizing Biden right now for the slow walk, because it was supposed to be 144 million or something, or billion, I don't know, and they've only got a portion of that.
Yeah, but the issue was during that period during the Biden administration, a lot of that got held up. There was a 6 or 8 month period that was held up by the damn Republicans.
For sure.
I mean that's if there's any reason why, I think there was a bigger counterattack planned about a year ago, but it couldn't go anywhere because not enough money and equipment was moving across.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't claim to know what's going on there, but it is interesting that they have incredible capacity, although from a personnel point of view, they didn't do what perhaps they should have been doing. It's unclear that they are at full mobilization, and drafting more people was probably a good idea considering how many people have already fled the country. There are refugees out of Ukraine. So that's another issue. And then it is troubling that there's a lot of not a lot of facts on the ground being sort of revealed. That is, originally they claimed 200,000 kids were kidnapped. Now it's more like 20,000, and it's somewhere in between. I'm sure there's plenty of kids who've been taken away, stolen from Ukraine, and it just it's pretty insane when you hear the more individual stories. The really terrible.
Especially some of the Russian people on video saying that how proud they are to be raising Ukrainian kids as Russians, right? There's
Indeed.
been a few of those. Can I ask you about Trump's rare earth mineral policy he wants with Ukraine? And I was thinking about this the other day because I think the rare earth minerals he wants are currently in Russian hands.
Yes, they are. More of them are focused, or specific minerals are focused in Donbass. That's where most of the serious mineral resources, aside from all the fact that the Donbass is where all the coal is a completely cold mining area. But there are deposits that are in sort of the center part on I think the western side of the Dnieper. But most of those things, those resources, are in the Russian areas. And so, Trump is just talking out his rear as usual. It is the reason why he wanted to stay and why several administrations have been interested in Afghanistan, because of that same resource. There's a lot of that in Afghanistan. And Trump, I think, still wants that, but I don't think he can have it considering the position the Taliban is in now. It's just, or the fact that it could be just simply a surge or a wave away. That is the Taliban now, because they've now moved all educational institutions to be male only. Women have been kicked out of their institutions. All their medical schools or whatever training. A woman cannot get medical training in Afghanistan. Because it's Sharia law says so. So another generation will be lost. it got liberated at least during, during the war. So that's another issue. And
one of their ministers,
which is, go ahead.
Sorry, one of their ministers in the Taliban government wanted women to go to school, and he got let go from the ministry. I don't know from how high, but just read about that. So I have a list of things that unless you're not finished.
No, I'm done. I can talk all at great length about other crazy stuff, but
I'm all for it. So I have a list of things from ChatGPT, of all things, of items that Donald Trump has done, his executive orders, and I'd like you to comment on any of them or all of them.
Okay.
Okay, so here's a summary of his actions taken in 2025. Excuse me. Immigration and border security. He suspended entry into the U.S. through the southern border for individuals lacking sufficient medical and background information. He's initiated mass deportations of individuals in the U.S. and it reinstated the Remain in Mexico policy, and he's designated certain international cartels as foreign terrorist organizations to address violence and drug proliferation. Now, apparently, a lot of these people that were rounded up, they've been released again, is what I heard.
They've already reached capacity in some of federal facilities. Now, I don't know. It's unclear. I mean, there were private prisons that were used in the prior, administrations to cover a lot of this overflow. But I think the current state of it is that they can't handle some of these. They've been trying to meet quotas. Let's put it that way, and they've been more successful in terms of numbers. But then on the other hand, they've been scooping up a lot of people who aren't, qualified to be thrown out. As well as they tried to claim that everybody they were going to grab was either a pre-existing criminal or a criminal, or a potential criminal or a criminal from another country, and I don't think they've been able to prove that very well. And there are, of course, the usual cases where they send 30 or 40 people in to get one person. It's just it's a PR nightmare on the one hand. On the other hand, there are people doing stupid stuff, like they arrested 3 people in 3 students from Temple University day before yesterday, pretending to be ICE agents and just harassing people, technically kidnapping them. So an enterprising Fed should get in there and start really wailing on some of these people who are just screwing around. It's just screwing around. It's like, oh, hey, we can just hassle these people and it's sort of condoned. Well, no, it isn't. And, there are actual rules about asking these kinds of questions. Not every city or state, of course, that was before interested in providing sanctuary has fully gotten on board with this. I mean, some states have really declared this as, stupid policy and we're not going to help. But the fact is there are federal institutions and units and agencies that can operate without having to worry about whether the state, any individual state decided to resist. So that's kind of, so law is at a, at a premium. If people who decided to get into immigration law, a decade ago are probably doing pretty well. Just
a lot of the states are gung-ho too, though, right? Like Texas and stuff. So they're.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, and they have their own, they make up all this stuff that they're trying to do or doing, and then they're doing stupid stuff, of course, rounding up people for no apparent reason. And I don't know. I mean, I'm hoping that other pressures will come to bear. I like the idea that, or at least it was suggested that Canada, in resisting any kind of tariffs at all, would only target red states rather than blue states. So that would create a lot of pressure, much as blue states have said, well, we cross-subsidize, the federal government cross-subsidizes red states from blue state tax revenues. So what if we decided, blue states decided to, withhold that kind of those kinds of transfer payments. And, that's where it could wind up. It could be really ugly.
Right. Because we're on a 30-day between Mexico and Canada on what the United States is going to do as regard tariffs. That's put a hold on a lot of businesses who deal with the United States.
Yep.
Stelco up here has decided not to send steel down to the United States. Quebec sends 2/3 of the aluminum production of their aluminum production of the needs of Americans. 2/3 of it comes out of Quebec. So they're looking at overseas right now, and the shelves are bare as far as Johnny Walker is in bourbons.
Yeah, I like at least those things that could be immediately done. That is to to boycott American liquors in Canada.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, energy and environmental policy. So he's declared a national energy emergency to enhance energy exports and roll back environmental regulations, and he's withdrew the United States from the Paris Climate Agreement again, emphasizing economic efficiency and promoting American prosperity.
Whatever that means. I mean, what he wants to do is, the Gulf of America now will have oil spills, so that'll be interesting.
Well, apparently they had snow, and when it was the Gulf of Mexico, it never snowed. So,
what a coincidence.
Yeah.
Just the fact that we're kind of screwed on things that are actually important to plan for. That is renewables, other kinds of things that are going to, in the long run, be problematic. Questions of renewable energy are going to be held up for another couple of years, which is going to actually affect a lot of other things in the production of sort of ancillary activities, just like holding up the building of federally supported electrical vehicle charging stations and stuff like that.
Actually, must hate that, right?
Well, Musk probably doesn't care that much, considering the relative size of the population that's buying electric vehicles. I think where it's really going to happen is those other markets that he has to actually work in, where people in Europe are kind of pissed off at Tesla, at electrical vehicles. And then,
shares have dropped.
And then he's going to get his clock cleaned by, was it BFD or whatever, BVD, the big Chinese competitor in electric vehicles. Right. I mean, I think it's a losing population in the long run, but his focus, of course, is not necessarily on cars. It's about batteries. Ultimately, it's going to be about battery technologies, and that's where the trouble is going to be. Electric vehicles are not so much the issue as it will be trying to get a better renewable battery for renewable energy. But does Trump care about that? Hell no. I mean, we just need to burn more natural gas, because we're just more fracking, more, whatever. It's just a mess. Democrats need to get their act together, and I think they, however they misread the election. Part of it is the Democrats' own fault with the bait and switch sort of to sort of put. It's nothing against Harris. It's just a certain moment where you have this entire reactionary population decided, okay, we're going to do this, and we're not real happy about the Biden administration and whatever. The lesser Trump is not a lesser evil. He's an evil lesser. It is just, it's all been there. I mean, the blueprint was there since John Birch. They don't want to do certain things. They don't care about foreign people. They don't care about our place in the world as a superpower. Not that I'm in favor of us as a superpower, but we just happen to be a superpower, and we're doing a better work as a superpower.
If you were a nice superpower, we could get away with it, But a lot of videos coming out of Detroit and Michigan of Muslims who said they voted wrong, and that's because they were ticked off with Kamala. Is that right?
I think that's part of it. I think it was simply that they were unhappy with the existing administration, and
Right.
it
Over
had to
Gaza.
do, and
Yeah.
it had to do with Gaza. You know, but you can't be an issue, a single issue kind of voter, and when there are too many other issues at work.
Mm.
And I don't think people were thinking in the large picture. And well, look at what happened. I mean,
Not even after Trump's first term, people didn't say, "Hey, maybe I should think about this."
it's just people. It's just well, it does
Yeah.
reveal that people aren't as there are a lot more low information voters out there. Let's just say that. You know, and not to disparage them, I think that people just don't think about that as much in a country of our size. And of course, it also relates to, but not wholly dependent on, media. You know, that whole business of siloing a significant part of our population in terms of right-wing media is continuing. You know, that
Right.
they've displaced media coverage for the Pentagon, for example, the regular networks, with some of these really crappy right-wing news networks, OANN and Newsmax and whatever, that always wind up with people who get fired from Fox. You know, it is just that's kind of what we got. And of course, corporate media is no better. I mean, you know, I assume that things are, you know, there was that moment where they were talking about selling MSNBC, and then the other rumor was that Musk was going to buy MSNBC, and that would have been totally insane.
I don't want to even go into Trump's proposition with that fund to buy TikTok again. I guess the American government might own TikTok, apparently.
That's right. That's sort of a sovereign wealth fund or whatever.
Yeah.
In other words, that you know, making it kind of like the post office.
You can't keep up, you know. Okay, and then Chat GPT says DEI programs. He eliminated the delightfully educated individuals programs, including positions like chief diversity officers and related grants, prohibited private organizations from conducting DEI employment programs for jobs created by federal contracts. Now that's a 50-50 proposition, because a lot of people do like that, but then once they're tagged, does this mean it's only weight supply? Is that what they're trying to do here?
Well, that's what they're trying to do, but it's not so much about white supply and replacement of workers so much as it is repressing diversity program. You know, it's just like vote suppression. It is, you know, it is just simply suppressing a particular set of minorities rather than expanding. I mean, you're still going to have, you know, the same kind of pool of workers. They haven't been really, the charge of reverse discrimination has been there for decades, but the fact is the majority population is still the damn majority population. All they did in the past couple of elections is choose minorities. That is, well, the reason why there's anti-Semitic stuff, you know, they're only 2%. I think 2% of the population is Jewish. So, you know, this is not, I mean, this is not some huge scourge on the, you know, the demographics of the United States. It's just scapegoating. I mean, picking other kinds of minorities, there's just no reason to do it.
It's pitting people against each other is what it's done.
Oh yeah. Well, it's really scapegoating. It's selecting very specific minorities, because if they decided to pick other certain minorities, stupid people, for example, it would be a lot different.
Oh, you got it. 4C policy and aid. So he's paused all U.S. foreign development assistance programs for 90 days to conduct a review, exceptions for emergency aid, and he signed an executive order imposing sanctions on the International Criminal Court for actions against the U.S. and its allies. And I don't think the U.S. is a signatory to the Hague, right? To the International Criminal Court.
No, and that makes it easy to sort of resist arresting, doing a citizen's arrest on Bibi when he was here this week. It's less about that and more about sort of defanging various agencies and elements. What is it? The foreign, whatever it is, the foreign involvement or engagement divisions of the FBI and the Justice Department were eliminated. Now, that doesn't mean that people aren't going to pay attention to it. It just means that you don't have a division or a department that's in charge of that. So the actions or activities could still go on, although out of 14,000 employees of the FBI, there are now 6,000 agents short, and it raises an interesting question, and not a profound one, but an interesting question, because now what they revealed yesterday or today was that subcontracting of private security in some of the federal buildings went to some of the subgroups supported by Eric Prince's mercenary, paramilitary organization. So there was somebody from whatever it is, Canopy or whatever the thing is, that were actually in one of the federal buildings, resisting allowing legislators from going in to protest or demand answers. So that was sort of interesting. Because we don't hear anything about Eric Prince's sort of actions or activities. And I always assume that, at some moment there's going to be a bigger paramilitary thing. And I'm surprised we didn't have it on January 6th. But I guess the second time around where Trump was, even yesterday in the prayer breakfast, he was sort of toying with the audience, saying that he was thinking about suggesting that he wouldn't leave office, that he was going to be president for life. It's just, it's like having, it's a juvenile delinquent in charge. It's just crazy.
Chaos theory.
It is chaos. But the fact is, if we just draw back and sort of be patient, I think that's what Democrats are doing, is trying to not let one get too overwhelmed by the list of crazy things that are going to happen during the next less than 100 days.
Okay. Well, social policies, he's issued an order defining gender recognition by the federal government strictly as male and female, impacting various policies and programs. And he's also signed an executive order banning transgender athletes from participating in women's sports.
Yeah, all 15 transgender individuals in the entire United States, out of 500,000 athletes, 15 people. This addresses 15 people. I mean, that's the point of making all these great declarations. The reality is, it doesn't really mean that. But he's hoping for as a demonstration effect, that this is going to happen throughout every public school, every primary and secondary school. There's going to be this, whatever, picking on 0.6%. That is, a 60th of 1% of the people in the United States are in that, intersectional group, which is not very much. Less than 1% are the threat to people's peace and freedom in your bathroom. I mean, that's kind of where it goes. But the legislators, of course, are equally crazy, right? There's a couple of just crazy people. What's her name? Tried to actually, she thought that McBride, the legislator, the transgender trans woman from Delaware, was in the bathroom. So she was going to catch her in there and blah, 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 and apparently it wasn't. And there's got to be a better story, more details to the story, but it was pretty funny.
Well, I don't see a line in here in his social policy for removing cat litter boxes in school hallways.
Darn those furries.
Those furries.
Those furries are everywhere.
Okay.
The reality, of course, is there's none. And yet this myth keeps getting propped up that there's this monster population of teenage furries that, populate public schools, more specifically. And it just, there's no evidence for it, which is even more weird.
Yeah, but you got to admit, after the Tide Pod challenge, I kind of think it might have some merit.
Well, there's a moment at which, maybe Darwin is right. I don't know. Anyway.
So, okay, as far as the government goes, so he's established DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, which is led by Elon Musk, a guy who is not vetted through Congress. He doesn't have a security clearance. He's got 3 passports.
They changed the rules. they changed the rules so that you can give any person there's some executive order that Trump signed that
He's got
allows him
government
better control
contracts.
over security clearances.
Well,
Anyway, yes,
he's going
I'm
to
sorry
cut
to-
government spending, apparently.
Well, it may be government spending that certain portions of government spending will be cut, but the cost of enforcing the cuts is actually going to increase. So the net effect of this is going to be the reverse. And we'll see this at the end. And if the Democrats are smart at all, they're going to see that this is going to be a big deal in the midterms. But, if we have midterms.
Ocasio-Cortez has come out with a statement. I should have had the video saying that Donald Trump's $4.1 trillion in tax cuts is got a sunset clause, the one he did in his first term. That's right. It's coming due. And they're trying to find $4.1 million to offset keeping the tax cuts.
Well,
is part of her theory as to why all this is happening.
Yes, that's part of it. I mean, a lot of it has the kind of sausage making that is part of every legislative set of procedures. And I think at some moment, and I don't know how the Democrats are doing this, but I think that tactically they have the option to try and resist this, let's put it that way, or to tie it up in procedures. But I don't know. It's going to be tough because it is what happened during the first term. He managed to get through a tax cut that, all that trickle down crap didn't happen then. It's not going to happen again. It's never happened ever. So, but they're going to try it again.
Yeah. No, I think it was, that was Ocasio-Cortez said it was 4.1 trillion. Warren's thinking maybe it's a little more. I'm not sure. I just went by what Ocasio says. I listen. So, we got a couple more. Man, this Donald Trump's been busy.
What a guy.
So the trade in the economy, he's initiated reviews of various trade practices, including United States, Mexico, and Canada. How did that go for you? And considered establishing an external revenue service to collect tariffs. And he's delayed the implementation of a TikTok ban for 75 days. So you kids in your TikTok, get out there. Right.
Well, it's pretty weird, but TikTok could be a state media. At some moment, it could be state media. Although Trump doesn't know how to broadcast on TikTok.
Well,
I mean, if he learns, we're in trouble, I suppose.
Well, are you on Truth Social at all?
I'm not on it. In fact, I think I'm banned from it. And it wasn't my fault.
Blue Sky me.
Yes, I'm on Blue Sky. It's just no, but I use a lot of the postings from Truth Social because they're just crazy, right? He still hasn't learned how to spell the word stolen, as in stealing something. Rather, he always spells it with two L's, which in the American lexicon refers to Austrian fruitcakes. So,
Okay.
Oh no, last night's or night before last, it was $1 billion stolen by Politico or the whatever.
Yeah. That turned out to be BS. So
it is more of the same. And so I usually just pick on the fact that he doesn't know what he's talking about to signify, well, it's
but it sounds good, Ann. It's about show,
It's a fruitcake.
Anyways, he's got two more classifications there: healthcare and social sciences. So he withdrew the United States from the World Health Organization, citing concerns over its handling of the COVID-19 pandemic, and he's ordered the elimination of diversity, equity, and inclusion programs across the Defense Department and Coast Guard.
Yeah, that's just, more sham stuff. He just wanted a chance to, solidify his support within a certain misogynist community by firing the commandant of one of the major, military service. it's the kind of thing that's going to, boomerang on a lot of people. And of course, it just shows, other kinds of underlying bigoted kind of positions. Replacing a four-star general who happens to be black with a white guy who, is a pretty violent person, at least in his marriages, and is a drunk. That's the equivalence that he wants to show.
Well, and we got legal and judicial actions. He pardoned approximately 1,500 individuals in connection with the January 6 riots, Capitol riots, and he's revoked birthright citizenship for children of undocumented immigrants, a move that is currently facing legal challenges.
Yeah, it's clear that some of the things on the Project 2025 list will not pass constitutional muster. But, it's not for want of trying. But, these are the kinds of things that have been a shibboleth for the right wing for decades. Most of the things in the 900-page Project 2025 document are things that were on their wish list since the 1950s. So, it's kind of boring in that sense. That it's not quite so innovative as it is just sort of weaselly. That is, it's a kind of wish list of all the little things, their little grievances that they've always had that they now can claim that they've eliminated, right? They want to drive everyone back to Jim Crow 1950, or to eradicate, which they did in one or two cases now, certain people. Let's see, the executive order that he signed removed one sub area, an executive order from the Johnson administration. It didn't eliminate the whole idea of civil rights, but certainly one modification element, something that he could kill immediately. But, you're just going to reinstate it in other forms of legislation. That's how complicated the American government is. You could kill one thing, but other components are protected constitutionally by other stuff. And then, of course, the wedge issue is, well, the right of states to have certain things. But on the other hand, you have people who, will go the next level, right? What is it? The guy from the attorney general from Louisiana, or somebody from Louisiana wanted to charge someone who made a prescription, a doctor who made a prescription for contraception in New York, and wanted to prosecute them. And I think the New York governor said, told them to go pound sand, and that's pretty much it.
Good.
But that's what we're reduced to, is that if you had reinstated federal laws, you wouldn't have this kind of problem. But of course, that's what they gain from it. I think it's really all a big scam to have less competent lawyers have jobs ultimately, because that's kind of who fills the Trump administration, are a whole bunch of people with kind of less prestigious law degrees. I think they're having trouble with Kash Patel because, I mean, hell, he has a degree from Pace University Law School. It's not exactly the Ivy League, without being an elitist.
So I got two items left because we're kind of going into overtime here, and I know you have a calendar to present too. Is little Marco Rubio on his tour. One with Panama. He said he made a deal with the Panamanian government that all American ships can go free through the canal, and the government said, no, that's not true, little Marco. That's a lie. Right. And then the second one is El Salvador reaching an agreement to have people who are maybe American citizens sheltered in their jails there.
Yes. Well, that's more of that offshoring or subcontracting, as it were. It's like they sent gang members to Gitmo, right? They put, there were only a handful of prisoners at Gitmo, so there was excess capacity on the one hand. And it is a prison. Whatever. And it looks good politically, but it's no different than the Brits wanting to send illegal migrants to Rwanda or whatever. It's the same deal. It's like it makes it appear more criminal, more cruel and unusual, I suppose, in that particular case. Now, the big problem, of course, is transportation. When, just to make a splash, they spend $800,000 on a flight for 80 people to, to send them to Colombia or whatever. And of course, the resistance was the idea that in Colombia, you just don't want to have U.S. military planes suddenly wind up on your runways, because that sort of means they want to do something else aside from transporting prisoners.
Weren't they handcuffed as well? And the air conditioning didn't work?
They wouldn't let them go to the bathroom. There's just stupid stuff. I mean, it's just
stuff. Yeah.
I mean, normally they would put them on a chartered civilian jet and do the same thing. They just simply delivering them, and they're cuffed. Okay. But to make a big splash of it, to use your large C-17 to, which you normally, transport helicopters in to take prisoners down there, is just it's just crap. I mean, and I wish this is another Democrat thing. I mean, they should point this out. Like, why are you spending
bring it to light
10 times the amount to do, a PR thing when you've been already transporting people on normal jets? It's just stupid.
Do you have any predictions how things are going to go, Ann, or are you just sitting back and watching?
No, it's just going to get worse before it gets better.
Really?
Me, I'm making, we all make preparations. This time around, we'll see. Fortunately, I live in a blue state, so it's not getting as bad. But when push gets to shove, it could be, it could get worse. I'm worried about other things. The legal system itself is going to be stressed. So if you need to do anything, there are going to be issues. I mean, they're messing with everything. Because that was what they wanted to do. Social Security, Medicare, things that have nothing to do with DEI or whatever. It's just things that they've always wanted to kill. They've wanted to kill Social Security from before the World War II. So there's just stuff on their little list of things. And unfortunately, they have a little bit more power now. I'm grateful that I have, representatives who I don't have to fight with. Or send angry notes to. I will send angry notes to them, but I think it's more important for us to think more collectively. At present, there are 130 strikes going on in the United States, and nobody knows that. They're actually strikes, labor issues out there, and it's not getting any media coverage, and I hope that people will think about that.
And the lady running the labor board got terminated?
Oh, yeah. Some of us are of both minds on that, because the FEC certainly hasn't operated with very much power, particularly when people in the United States, particularly on the GOP side, have violated election laws a lot. There's not much enforcement. Let's just put it that way. I think that the FEC was stronger in the earlier parts of her term than it is now. So on the
people
one
had
hand,
high hopes for her, right?
Well, I think the issue was that they'd hoped that the FEC would, once they started not using autonomous nonprofit organizations like League of Women Voters to help run elections, or at least debates, that there would be better enforcement by having greater federal involvement, but whatever. They've been co-opted by Citizens United, et cetera. They're not going to rule on certain super PAC activities, in other words. Right.
So you're worried about the law, the labor fighting going on. Everybody's worried about how the government's going to play out. So you're painting a rosy picture here, huh? The world is America's oyster.
It's all doom scrolling. That's all we do.
So my prediction is Canada is going to make a deal with Cuba, and we're going to start feeding them, bringing food, and then we're going to plant missiles of kindness onto the Cuban island. And then come July 1st, look out.
Oh God.
You have a calendar or something about what's happening? Do you have it?
in 15
Sorry,
minutes.
not like what Trump's going to do tomorrow. I meant for the program.
15 minutes. Twilight Zone is going to be with us. I don't know if John's here to preview it. John.
Yes, I am. Hello.
And John is our DEI guest, delightfully educated individual.
Okay, I'll take it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, tonight on the Twilight Zone, we have a young woman and other neighborhood kids not realizing that their kind playmate, old Ben, isn't what he seems. In fact, he's a fugitive. So we'll have to see how that plays out. The episode stars J. Pat O'Malley as Old Ben and Nancy Culp as Agnes Gann.
Are we going to watch Star Trek this weekend on Sunday?
Yes. Did you want me to tell you about that? Or
please?
Oh, so Star Trek: The Next Generation, Sunday at 5 o'clock Eastern Time, is an episode called, I'm not going to get this right, but I think it's 11001011 or something.
All of you think and talk in base 2. Yeah. Of course. Yeah, that's very intelligible to all of us. Note also that 3 o'clock is Weekly Marks, and this week we watched the blockbuster Chinese film, The 800. Maybe we'll watch more blockbusters or something else this coming week. Well, anyway, alternativecollective.net, TAC. I think we're getting close to the end, Walter. So
yeah, this is starting to be a Lex Friedman podcast, the way we're going.
Yeah, indeed. So we should, I don't know if the outro is ready.
I have the outro lined up here. So,
well, Walter, it has been fun. I still think we should have adult beverages when we do this. So,
that would be nice. Drinking with Ann. That would be a great podcast, actually.
Next time we get lubricated when we do this.
All right. Well, hey, thank you so much, Ann. I appreciate it.
Appreciate
being here. Appreciate your time and talking with you and the conversation. And does anybody have any closing thoughts out of the audience?
Walt, do you want to promote also your podcast about the 48? Yes? No?
Oh, I sure would. North of 48. And we've been growing quite good. We're over 12,000 subscribers. And for a little podcast that I only do once in a while, it's been pretty good. And a couple of good guests. Molly's Mess, minister out of Seattle, talks about her life and what she did to clean it up. I have Phil Eitman coming back on from Ukraine, from Kiev. Really soon. And then I have another fellow on Arabian relations. We're going to be sitting down and talking. That's all coming out week and a half. So north of 48. And it's fun. So it's a labor of pleasure, I guess. But I've been sick over Christmas, so I haven't had too much labor in me. So
sorry to hear that.
All right.
Yeah. Well, we will catch up further down the line, and maybe we can schedule adult beverages the next time.
I would like that very much. Drinking with Ann is on my to-do list.
Right. Drunk history.
Drunk history. We could do that. That's true. Well, thank you everybody for TAC, and thanks for inviting me out. And treat Canada with a little more kindness than Donald and Elon. Like, Elon gets all his women from Canada, right? So he should be treating us. Most of his kids are actually all of his kids are Canadian citizens.
Huh, interesting.
And if we bring in that take away your birthright, watch out, Elon. I'm just saying.
There we go.
But you guys have a good one, and we'll play the outro.
You too, Walt. Bye. We'll do better next week.
Oh, you got her. You got her. Sorry, Joe, I had to play it once. Did Joe stop everything?